It's funny how the most terrifying nights of our lives often start just like any other. I've worked as a night security guard at Oakwood Medical Center for 3 years now, and until last month, the scariest thing I'd encountered was my own reflection in the dark windows. But what happened that night? It changed everything. The hospital had been mostly empty for months. The new medical center across town had opened, and we were in that awkward transition period. Most departments had moved, but the building was still full of equipment waiting to be transferred. That's why they kept security on. Just me, alone, watching over 6 floors of empty corridors and abandoned medical equipment. My shift started at 10 p.m. Just like always, everything seemed normal. The same flickering light in the west corridor that maintenance never fixed. The same squeaky door on the 4th floor. I did my first rounds, checking each floor methodically. The building always felt different at night, like it was holding its breath, waiting. You know that feeling when you're completely alone, but somehow, you feel watched? I was on the 5th floor when I first noticed something was off. There was a wheelchair in the middle of the hallway. Now, that might not sound strange, but in an empty hospital, everything has its place. I'd done my first round just an hour before, and that hallway had been clear. I approached it slowly, my flashlight beam bouncing off the chrome. As I got closer, I noticed the seat was wet, like someone had just been sitting in it. But that was impossible. The building was locked down, all exits alarmed. I was the only one here, or at least, I was supposed to be. I radioed down to Tommy at the security desk, but got only static in response. That's when I heard it. The soft sound of humming coming from somewhere down the dark corridor. A children's lullaby, the kind that makes your skin crawl when you hear it at night. The smart thing would have been to call the police right then. But I convinced myself there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe some kids had broken in for a thrill. It wouldn't be the first time. I followed the sound, my heart pounding so loud I could barely hear my own footsteps. The humming led me to the old pediatric ward, a place that was creepy even during daylight hours. The walls were still decorated with faded cartoon characters, their smiles now seeming more like grimaces in the beam of my flashlight. The door to one of the patient rooms was slightly ajar. The humming was coming from inside. I pushed it open slowly, and that's when everything went wrong. The room wasn't empty. There was a figure sitting in the corner, rocking back and forth. Not a kid. An adult wearing what looked like a patient's gown. They stopped humming as soon as my light hit them. "Sir? Ma'am? You can't be here," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "The hospital is closed." The figure stopped rocking but didn't turn around. Then, in a voice that sounded like broken glass, they spoke. But doctor, you said I could never leave. They turned around so fast, I stumbled backward. Their face. Something was wrong with their face. In the beam of my flashlight, I could see what looked like surgical bandages, old and yellowed, wrapped tightly around their head. Only their eyes were visible, dark and hollow. I ran. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But as I turned to flee, I saw something that made my blood run cold. There were more wheelchairs in the hallway now, dozens of them, all arranged in a circle. And in each one, a figure sat wrapped in bandages, heads turned toward me. But next is still a blur. I remember running, the sound of wheels squeaking behind me. I remember the elevator wouldn't work, so I took the stairs. I remember the humming getting louder, coming from everywhere at once. I made it to the lobby somehow, but Tommy wasn't at the security desk. Instead, there was just another wheelchair, empty this time, with fresh water dripping from the seat. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. When the police arrived 20 minutes later, they found nothing. No wheelchairs, no bandaged figures. Even the security footage showed only empty corridors. I quit that job the next day. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear that humming. And I can't help but wonder, what if I hadn't left? What if I'd stayed to find out what they wanted? What if they're still there, waiting in those dark corridors, for someone else to find them? If you enjoyed this story, and want to hear more real encounters like this one, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to never miss an upload. Share your own creepy experiences in the comments below. Maybe they'll be featured in my next video.